Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Stan here with you. Hope you're all doing great today. I thought of talking about an interesting topic that is the crisis that's currently happening in the Indian automobile industry. I would be giving my reasons on what I believe caused this crisis. Also, I'll be talking about the positives and negatives of this crisis. And towards the end, I'll give a take on whether this crisis would continue for the coming few months like this or it would get back to normal. So stay tuned for that. So here are some interesting facts about the Indian automobile industry. The Indian automobile industry is actually worth 4.8 lakh crore rupees. It contributes 7.5% to India's GDP and 49% to the manufacturing GDP. More than that, the Indian automobile industry employs around 3.7 crore people in India. So that's massive. And talking about the crisis, well, sales have declined a lot. For the last 11 consecutive months, sales have been dropping, and as on April 2019, the sales has dropped to 17% versus the same period last year, and as on May 2019, the sales has dropped to 26% versus the same period last year. So this is a massive drop. Same goes for the two-wheeler market as well. The sales has dropped in urban areas to 26%, whereas in rural areas the sales has dropped to 16%. A giant automaker Maruti have their sales dropped by 23% in May 2019, whereas Tata sales during the same period has dropped to 26% versus last year. So what this sales decline means is that from the last 2 years, almost 205 dealerships and 300 dealer outlets have shut down, which means almost every week 2 dealers have shut down their operations. What this means is that almost 5 lakh passenger vehicles worth 35,000 crore rupees remain unsold in dealership. Coming to two-wheelers, it means almost 30 lakh two-wheelers worth 17,500 crores remain unsold in their dealership. My God, this is utterly shocking. I hope you're getting in how big a crisis the automobile industry is stuck in right now. So actually I have 10 reasons with me to believe why this crisis came about, and I'll be sharing it with you shortly. So the first major reason for this automobile industry crisis is the pricing of vehicles. The prices have actually shot over the roof over the years, and this is actually a major contributor, I feel personally. Just take for example a Hyundai Verna or Volkswagen Vento that you purchased in 2014 for 11.5 to 12.5 lakhs. The exact same car today costs 17 lakhs. And take another example of Maruti's Swift VXI. In 2010 it cost around 5 lakhs. But today in 2019 it cost a whopping 8 lakh rupees. So as you can clearly see, the prices have increased a lot, and the reason given by manufacturers is rising input costs and raw material cost, but that's actually not true. The main reason for them increasing prices is just profitability. If you see their profit margins, it's anywhere between 12% to 25%, which is very high. If you compare the same manufacturers abroad, their profit margins are just 3 to 4%. And another reason for this high increase is the taxation by our government on cars, because they see it as luxury goods, hence they tax it very high. I know most of you are going to jump onto the comment section right now and blast me saying that hey, what about inflation? Inflation is another reason for the high price rise, and this is in tune with the price rise, but I have to disagree to this point. It's not true. If you see the price increase over the years, it's not in sync with inflation. Inflation hasn't increased to that level as the price has increased. And also another reason is that the purchasing power has never increased at the rate at which inflation has increased. So that is another reason you need to keep in mind. So secondly is depreciation. Depreciation of our cars are very high. The moment you purchase a car and it rolls out of the dealership and onto the road, immediately you lose 15% of the value of that car. Just take the same example as I've taken previously. If you take a Verna or Vento of 2014, you purchased it at 12.5 lakhs, but today when you go to sell it in the market, you will just get 5.5 lakhs to 6 lakhs. That is more than 55% depreciation on the vehicle in just 5 years time. Even in two-wheelers, it's the same story. If you purchase a scooter in 2015 for 70,000 rupees, today that scooter will fetch you just 11,000 rupees in the market. So that's a whopping 86% in depreciation. So this is one of the reasons why people don't want to sell their perfectly working vehicle in the used market. because it makes no financial sense, because you lose a lot of money. The third reason is that the automobile sector has always been the victim of government policies, the Supreme Court orders and the Green Tribunal orders. If you see the recent 10-year diesel ban on vehicles in Delhi NCR region, also the sudden government regulation that all new vehicles have to be compliant with BS6 emission norms, whereas right now we are in BS4 emission norms. That means the manufacturers have to spend more in now complying to the new BS6 emission norms. So, and that means more expensive cars for new vehicle owners. So there was also another government rule where a person purchasing a new vehicle had to mandatorily also purchase a 5-year third-party insurance. This was again another hindrance for new customers. So the fourth reason responsible for this crisis is the advent of app-based cab hailing services such as Uber and OLA. Definitely this has disrupted the industry, especially in cities, mainly because of the cheap services they offer. It really doesn't make any sense for a customer to purchase a new car, spend on its maintenance and fuel, and then drive it through the hectic traffic just to reach office or go to any place he wants. It actually makes more sense to use these kind of services rather than owning your own car. The fifth point I would say is congestion. You hardly get parking space in your buildings for one car, so let alone two cars, and then most probably you'll have to park your car in street somewhere, which is unsafe again. So the sixth reason is the IT sector slumping right now. It isn't as good as it used to be before, and as a result there are lots of job losses. Even pay packages are not as good as it used to be before. So due to this general job security fear, people are avoiding to spend on high ticket items such as cars. Seventh is also another important factor. I think the economy is not in a good shape as the government would want you to believe. I know they paint a rosy picture with the high GDP estimation of 7%, but ever since demonetization and GST were implemented by this government, I see a lot of small scale industries shutting down, a lot of businesses closing down because of the hasty implementation. It was not well thought of properly, and this is something no one wants to talk about, but this is true. You see around, a lot of businesses have shut shop, and unemployment is peaking at a very high rate. It's now around 7.6% growing annually, and some sources, if they are to be believed, say that unemployment is at a 45-year high. That is something really worrying. So the eighth point would be highly underperforming businesses in India. If you see, businesses are nothing but highly leveraged balance sheets. They were underperforming a lot for main reasons, that is, no one is worried about repayment. Everyone is diversifying funds as per their wish, wherever they want, in underperforming assets, and this had to stop at some point in time, and right now a lot of businesses are struggling. So the ninth point would be youngsters' mindset of today. Youngsters today want to spend their earnings on a good quality lifestyle. Like they would want to spend it on a vacation with their family at an exotic place rather than spending it on a high ticket item such as a vehicle which depreciates a lot. And the 10th point and final point would be the elections that concluded recently. People are waiting for a stable government to be elected, and also there was liquidity crunch in the economy due to elections. Yeah guys, so that's my 10 reasons on why I think the Indian automobile industry is struggling a lot. Please do mention it in the comment section below if you have any other reasons that I haven't mentioned. I would love to hear it from you guys. I've also set up a small poll right above here. Please do take a moment of your valuable time. The poll is nothing but it gives a list of reasons that led to the crisis in the Indian automobile industry. I just want to know the major reasons that contributed to this crisis. So please do attend that poll so that I get a better understanding of this crisis, and it would also mean that I'm getting your feedback as well, which is more valuable to me. Obviously there are some positives in this crisis. With a sales decline, it means there is far less vehicles on the road, and that means there is less pollution. Secondly, there is lesser congestion on our roads, less traffic. Third major positive out of this crisis is that your liability reduces. If you take in context that 80% of vehicles purchased are actually purchased on finance, that is, you're liable to the company that pays you for this vehicle, and that ranges between 5 to 7 years. So you're liable to this company for 7 years. Negatives are actually huge. It's huge, and it affects the economy a lot. Like I mentioned before, almost 3.7 crore people are employed by the automobile industry in India. Another major negative is that there are a lot of ancillary industries that are dependent on the automobile sectors, that is, they manufacture parts to these manufacturers. So when this is affected, even these industries are affected, they have to shut down. The industries that are solely dependent on the domestic market have struggled and are struggling a lot. If this trend continues, it's going to be very bad for the economy in general and all these ancillary industries to this automotive sector. And yeah guys, so I think in general this crisis is not going to end anytime soon. I'm thinking even mid of next year it's not going to reduce, because even the BS6 norms are going to be rolled out in the new vehicles, I think end of this year. So prices are only going to further shoot up and this is going to worsen the problem. And if you're considering purchasing a vehicle in the coming 2 to 3 months, I would suggest you to stop. Please do not purchase any vehicle now. Wait for 5 to 6 months and I'm sure manufacturers are going to roll out a lot of discounts, a lot of offers, and only then it's better to purchase a vehicle. If the government and the manufacturers do not do anything on the pricing, I think we are going to go to a point wherein, like what happened in Egypt, that is the Let It Rust campaign that shook up their industry. So if any one of you who doesn't know what this campaign is about, it's actually what happened is prices, just like in India, of their vehicles shot up to astronomical levels, and an engineer actually had this social media campaign where he asked everyone to stop purchasing new vehicles because they are overpriced and there is a huge purchasing power disparity, and hence the campaign somehow caught fire and people stopped purchasing vehicles. And right now the automobile industry in Egypt is actually down on their knees with almost 40 to 50% reduction in prices, and the campaign has still not stopped because the campaigners now want the manufacturers to further reduce the prices of their vehicles. I do hope the Let It Rust campaign doesn't catch up in India, and I hope the manufacturers and government both alike don't take it to that level, because customers and our people are actually much aware now than before. People know what value they are getting for the money they spend. So you can't fool people. It's only a matter of time when people start waking up. So that's it from my end. If you did like the vlog, guys, please do consider subscribing and please press the like button. And even if you didn't like the vlog, and if you have any pointers on how I can improve my channel and the vlog, please do mention it in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys. So this is me, Stan, signing out. Until next time, bye bye.